also I want to say this is a cybersecurity conference or session, so we don't mind you using your phones as long as you're going to be tweeting our hashtag 2 steps ahead. We have a live tweet fest going on right now, so if you have a cell phone with you that has Twitter on it, please feel free. I won't be offended if you're looking down at your phone if you want to go ahead and tweet at 2 steps ahead. Hashtag the number 2 steps ahead. And follow us on Stop Think Connect also. We're going to be doing some live tweeting. Again, I'm Kristin, Judge. I want to thank, first of all, our distinguished guests that are here today, and also our partners, which you can see here. We could not have done this event without these fantastic partners. They were the ones who reached out to you and let you know about this event. And these are also people in your community that are working on consumer protection. They have resources for you. When I go around the country speaking about cybersecurity, there's almost always someone in the audience who says to me, "The internet's pretty scary. Should I just not use it?" And I don't want people to leave feeling that way. It is a little bit scary. There are threats out there, and we heard about some of those from our distinguished guests. But there's a lot of resources, too. You're not in this alone. The National Cybersecurity Alliance works with public and private folks to make sure we do educational events all around the country. So you can see some of our partners here. We work on the Stop Think Connect campaign and also the Data Privacy Day. Stop Think Connect came from some brainstorming with people from all across the country that work in education and cyber, and they came up with Stop Think Connect as our national message. So we work with the Department of Homeland Security to get this message out to people all around the country. Your organization can become a part of the Stop Think Connect campaign. You can use our logo, our posters, there's calendars, there's all kinds of information out there created for you to use in your workplace or home or organization to help people feel more safe. Has anyone heard of Click It or Ticket or Smokey the Bear? Okay, Stop Think Connect is the new message like those two, so we need your help to get it out there. So look into that a little bit more. Here's some of the core initiatives that we're working on at the National Cybersecurity Alliance. Data Privacy Day is in January. RE Cyber is a program we're working on with CEOs to make sure that the folks in charge of companies understand the importance of cyber. You can have a great security team, but if you don't have leadership buy-in, the budgets don't go the right way, and you don't have the staffing to keep a company safe or an organization. Cybersecurity is our shared responsibility. That is the October Cybersecurity Awareness Month theme, and it's really the mantra that we live by at NCSA. You can't just rely on someone in your IT department or your Chief Information Security Officer or whoever you think is dealing with security to keep your organization safe. You especially can't control necessarily what websites your kids go on, so your home computers too. You can't necessarily work on keeping it safe unless you have the buy-in of the whole group, whether that be your family or your organization that you work for. So we need to make sure that everyone within an organization knows that security is up to them. We all have a part to play. I'm going to show a quick video that we had created for this 10-city tour to give you an idea about what is two-factor authentication.
The two-step, a time-honored dance move that involves, well, 2 steps. And what happens if you don't take that second step? The results can be embarrassing or even painful. Using a password alone to protect your online identity and sensitive data is like taking only 1 dance step. The imposters can trip you up and gain access to all your personal and financial information. What you need is the two-step authentication, that is. Two-step authentication goes beyond just a password and incorporates another factor to make sure that it's really you and not just someone with your password. More and more websites and applications are implementing two-step authentication, also known as login approval or multi-factor authentication. Two-step authentication empowers you to take control of the safety of your online accounts. It's easy to use, gives you peace of mind, and makes your digital life safer and more secure. So, let's do the two-step. Come on. Stop, think, connect.
We had that video created and also a great poster that goes along with it. And as I said earlier, anything we have created is for you to use. So you can go on our website, you can share that video. We really hope that you do. And the poster too. So feel free to look into that information at our 2 Steps Ahead website. This is the old way of doing things. You put in your username and your password and you log into your account. Why doesn't that work so well anymore? Because if someone else has your password and your username, they can get in too. They can look just like you. I'm sure you've heard of password breaches lately, or passwords being stolen. They're being stolen all the time. And even if they don't actually steal your password in a big breach, the bad guys have something called a rainbow table where they can run a script against your password and guess it instantaneously if it's not strong enough. Why are passwords not working so well? Another problem is we don't use very good passwords. So if password is your password, or 1234566, as soon as you leave here today, I would really like you to go change that, and I'll teach you how to make better passwords. We've been preaching about making long and strong passwords. I believe the Attorney General mentioned something about that too. We've been preaching this for a long time, and not everybody's listening. And it's not really your fault. How many passwords do you probably have? How many accounts do you need to log into? How can you remember 60 or 70 passwords? And some of you may even have them in a Post-it note on your computer at home. That's another no-no. So if you have that at home, grab that Post-it, take it down, especially at work. Here's the way to do a good password. So when you do need a strong password, you come up with something called a passphrase. This is not my passphrase, just an example, but I do like ice cream with sprinkles. And it's important to come up with a passphrase, something that you'll remember, and you could write this passphrase down somewhere, because no one is going to read a piece of paper that says, my favorite ice cream treat is custard with rainbow sprinkles, and think, oh, that's Kristin's password. Not necessarily. Then you take the first word, or the first letter of each word, and some of them lend themselves to characters. Many of you have heard that a password that's good is long, at least 9, 10 characters. And it has some capital letters, some lowercase letters, and then some symbols, like an asterisk or a dollar sign. So you can see I came up with a pretty good password there. It looks like a jumbled word. And then at the end of that passphrase that I have memorized, I just add the first letter of the website I'm going to. So if I'm going to Gmail, I put a G on it. If I'm going to Chase Bank, I put a C on it. If I'm going to another one, I put the first letter of that URL. So this is the way to make a strong password. But we know passwords can be stolen. So even if you have a strong password, the bad guys may get it, and then they're just going to input it and get into your accounts anyway. So it's really important that along with that strong password, you do something called two-factor authentication, login approval. It has a lot of different names. And I think that's why there's been such a slow adoption of it, is we don't have one name to call it. As I'm calling people across the country to get them involved in this event, I'll ask them, have you ever heard of two-step authentication or two-factor authentication? Every single person I've talked to has said no. And then I explain to them what it is, and they say, oh, I know that, I use that. So it's just a matter of we haven't gotten the words behind it necessarily, but a lot of folks are using it. And why are they using it? Because they feel vulnerable. I mean, the study after study shows that people understand they're vulnerable. People are being, their identity is being stolen, their accounts are being hacked. It's happening all the time. We're very good at protecting our physical space. Think about your house. You probably have lights outside you put on at night. You have deadbolts on your doors. We've been protecting our physical space for a long time. We know how to put a garage code, special thing to make sure nobody can get in. The lighting, the bushes. I've read a study where people have said that they asked people in prison who had robbed homes, which homes do you pick? Well, they picked the ones without a dog and with the lights off. So we know that. I've got 2 big dogs, and I leave their toys out front, and I keep the lights on. So we're very good at protecting that space. We're not so good at protecting our online space yet. A lot of it is because it's brand new to us. But you want to be able to authenticate yourself when you're logging into an account. Like I said earlier, someone else may have your password, so you need to make sure that they know only you are accessing that account. How do you authenticate yourself and say, this is me, I belong in this account? And that's where you use two-step authentication. Authentication online has a few steps. Something that you know. Okay, you know it, your login, your password. You know that in your mind. And then there's something that you have, And that is the code that you can get during two-factor authentication. I'll show you that code in a little bit. And then more advanced two-factor authentication or authentication could be something like biometrics, like a fingerprint or a retinal scan. And we may be moving in that direction more as authentication gets more advanced. If you work for a top secret agency, obviously you're just not going to use two-factor authentication with a PIN that comes to your cell phone. You're going to use something more advanced. And this is why two-factor authentication works. You have your password, your username, and then you get a one-time code that comes to your phone or an email. You put that code in. The code's only good for a limited amount of time, and only you have it because you're the only one holding your phone or your email account in your hand. Then you get access to your account, and the bad guy can't get in. I want to tell you my two-factor story. This is how I got involved in actually putting two-factor on my accounts. I'm one of those zero mailbox people. Anybody else a zero mailbox person? Okay, not everybody's as OCD as I am. I keep a really low inbox. That's sort of my to-do list. So my inbox usually has anywhere from 15 to maybe 30 emails in it. I was sitting at breakfast one morning on the weekend with my son, and I looked down at my phone, and it showed I had 1,678 emails in my email account on a Saturday morning. I'm not that popular. So I quickly opened it, and I started scrolling through the emails. I didn't open the emails, but I could see where they came from, and the first line of each of them. I knew I had been hacked in some way, so I knew not to click on anything in those emails. But they said things like, you have signed up for the National Newsletter of Australia Pig Farming. You have signed up for the newsletter of the African, you name it. I had signed up for every newsletter across the country. Excuse me, the world. 1,600 newsletters I had signed up for, and this was my notification saying, congratulations, you're now getting our newsletter. I knew that was a problem. I quickly called my friends. I have some friends. I've been working in cyber now for a while, and I have some friends who are very, very smart and work on protecting our country's infrastructure. And so I called them and said, have you ever seen anything like this? And they had. They told me to go through all of those emails and look for one that stood out. I found about halfway through, maybe at about email 800, an email from PayPal. And they said, congratulations, we're sending your iPad, $546 iPad to this gentleman in San Diego. It'll be there in 2 days. I had not ordered any iPad to be sent to anybody in San Diego from PayPal. But the bad guys wanted to hide that email from me so that the iPad could get there in time. By the time I figured it out, they would be off and running with my iPad. So I called PayPal right away, and they said, we'll take care of it. Thank you for letting us know. They were fantastic, and they said at the end of the call, have you put two-step verification on your account yet? And I said, no, but tell me how. And they walked me through the steps, and I put that on my account, and now I use that to pay for a lot of things because I know that account is protected because no one can get in my PayPal unless they have the code that only I have. It's sent directly to my phone. So that really helped me understand the importance of doing this. I'm a former 6th grade teacher and a former elected official, but the 6th grade teacher in me requires the need to give a quiz at every time I'm speaking. So I'm not going to make you stand up. It does say stand, but I'm going to just have you raise your right hand and keep that up for me. Everybody put their right hand up. I'm not making you swear to anything. It's okay. It's not like that. Keep your hand up. If you have a password that is at least 9 characters, uses capital letters, small letters, asterisks, different symbols like I showed earlier. If you have a really strong password, keep your hand up. Okay, great. Keep your hand up if you have a unique password for your work accounts that's separate from your personal accounts. We want to make sure that you're protecting your work accounts, and so that should have a separate a separate password. Keep your hand up if you have a separate password there. Great. Still quite a few people standing. Keep your hand up if you've enabled two-step authentication on at least one account. Keep your hand up. Okay, we lost a few folks there, but look around whose hands are still standing or whose hands are still up. If you see someone with their hands still up, grab them afterwards and ask them what accounts they have two-factor on, and maybe they can help teach you. Keep your hand up if you've never hit remind me later. You've got 17 different things up on your screen. You've got this document you're working on, and that darn pop-up comes up and says, remind me later, patch your software. You have a critical security update, and everybody wants to hit remind me later. I'll tell you why that's bad in a minute. Okay, keep your hand up if you don't hit remind me later. Did I lose everybody on that one? Because there's one more. Okay. Keep your hand up if you never open those cat videos, those jokes that Uncle Jimmy sends you. Oh, my mom sends me these all the time. Honey, you've got to see this cute thing. I finally wrote a newspaper column about her to get her to stop doing that to me. I embarrassed her a little bit, but all right, great, thank you. Put your hands down. The reason it's important to not hit remind me later when those security updates come your way is because the companies that make the software that run on your computer, they find out that there's holes in the software because there's been breaches. People will say, I've been breached, and they're always doing improvements because the bad guys are always trying to hack into the software and making it harder for us to keep up. So the companies will make patches. It's sort of like duct tape, to give you a visual. And they send you the duct tape so you can patch all the holes in your software. And that's what that critical update is coming to you. So if you hit remind me later, then you're putting yourself at risk by not covering up those holes. So I know it takes about 10 minutes. You've got to close all the browsers and close up Word and PowerPoint and all that stuff. But it's really worth the time because it's going to take you a lot longer to fix whatever breach might come in before you put the duct tape on. So try not to hit remind me later. Now I'm going to take you online and do some actual demonstration of what two-factor looks like so that it doesn't seem like such a mystery to folks. All right, the first thing I'm going to do is take you on a Gmail account. Brian does not work at StaySafeOnline.org. He is not a real person, so don't try and hack into this account. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to put two-factor authentication on your Gmail, for example. You just go into your account. I want to, before I start this, I know people are going to try and take notes. When you signed in today, you got a purple sheet that went along with your agenda. And on that sheet are the links to all of the most popular websites where you can actually go put two-factor on. They have the explanation area on that sheet, so you don't have to necessarily write these things down. I have the links on that purple sheet to all of what I'm going to be doing here. So you just go into your account, and you go into your security. It's usually under security or privacy. And it says here, two-step verification. I have it disabled right now. I want to set that up. I'm going to start the setup. It explains to you a little bit about what it is. You've got to put in a phone number. Or there's also an app that you can use if you don't want to have it, information come to your cell phone. And then it just said, you can see on here, I just asked them to send me a code to verify that this is me. Again, I'm the only one holding this phone, so the bad guys aren't going to have this code. I put in the code that they sent me, and I verify. Sometimes they'll ask you, do you want this to continue every time you log in? Do you want to trust this computer for a while? Sometimes you can say, all right, I want to trust this computer for 30 days so I don't have to keep putting that code in every time. If it's a computer that you use somewhere where there's other people around, then you probably don't want to say trust this computer. But you can choose to trust the computer, or you can ask that it has to be put in, the code has to be put in each time. All right, I'm going to say to trust my computer because this one stays with me. And there you go. It's all set up. Now to get the two-factor authentication on your Gmail on your phone, there's one more step. But I just wanted to show you how quickly you could enable two-factor authentication on your email account. LinkedIn, a lot of folks in here probably have LinkedIn. For a show of hands, how many people have a LinkedIn account? Okay, think about how much information is on that account and how much information you send out to people that are in your professional circles. So you really don't want that one to get hacked because if you're out looking for a job or trying to make new connections, you don't want to have that one hacked. I'm not going to take you through all of this, but the LinkedIn page that I have on that document that you have in front of you, they have a 12-step slideshow here that tells you how to turn on two-factor authentication on your LinkedIn account. It literally will take you under a minute and a half to do. So again, not very hard to do, but worth the time, because if it gets hacked, it's going to take you longer to clean up the mess. Some of you may know a gentleman by the name of Josh Davis, who studied at Iowa State University. And I met Josh through LinkedIn after reading an article about him. He's now working for Amazon on the West Coast. And he was looking for a place to put his blog. But he didn't want to use a blog that didn't have two-factor authentication, because he studied cybersecurity and knew what he was doing. So he looked for a list of what sites out there have two-factor authentication enabled. And he couldn't find a good list. And being a very, very smart person and young and motivated, he said, I'll just make a list. And he made a list that people could crowdsource with, meaning they could add information to it so it could become the universal list people used on where to find two-factor authentication, or sites that use two-factor authentication, excuse me. This started out to have about 30 companies on it, and I'm going to scroll real quickly for you. I haven't seen it in a couple weeks, but it literally goes on forever and ever and ever now. So if you are using an email account and you want to find out which one of them has two-factor authentication, he's got the list. And the best part about it is, the companies might not like it, but I thought it was great. If they don't use two-factor, he connects you to their Twitter with one click to encourage them to use two-factor. So a little nice push saying, look, this is important to your consumers, but this is just an amazing list. It's twofactorauth.org. Again, that's on the purple sheet that you have there. But if you're trying to find out where do I go, who has two-factor that can help me protect my accounts, and we're being proactive consumers. So it's really fantastic that that's a product of Iowa State University. Then if you go on Twitter, lots of folks are using Twitter now, and the bad guys seem to follow the trends. So when people were on MySpace, they were hacking MySpace. Anyone remember MySpace? I might be dating myself a little bit here. And then Facebook became really popular. The hackers moved to Facebook. Twitter came into the light, and now the hackers were focusing on that. Snapchat, for those of us who may have teenagers or who are young enough to use Snapchat themselves, that's another place where they're going now. So I wanted to show you on Twitter here, they have a quick video that just tells you how to do login verification in 1 minute. I think I lost my sound. It's okay. But the point is, they can teach you how to do two-step verification in a minute. Am I getting the point across that this is an easy thing to do and worthwhile? The time you're going to spend cleaning up the breach into your accounts is going to take way more than the half an hour it'll take to put on most of the accounts you have. I really want to make sure that people understand that. There's folks working right now from the FIDO Alliance. We had Brett McDowell at our last event in Connecticut, who is Executive Director of the FIDO Alliance. And the FIDO Alliance is public and private folks coming together to answer this question of, where is authentication going? We can't keep using all these passwords. We have to come up with a simpler, easier tool for folks. And they are really on the forefront of setting what this should all look like. What are the specifications? How is two-factor, or they're calling it universal second factor? How is that really going to work? And they are on the leading edge. So I want you to know there are people out there making this simpler. And in the next few years, we're going to really see a different way of accessing accounts. You can go to fidoalliance.org to look at more information there. But if you are working on cybersecurity, we have a lot of folks in the audience I know who are working on this for a career. Check out FIDO Alliance. See what you think. They are really going to be putting together the next step of where we're going with two-factor authentication. I want to give you some other resources. In a minute, we're going to have someone from the FTC speaking, the Better Business Bureau. You are not alone in this, as I said earlier. StopThinkConnect.org, 2 Steps Ahead, is our website that talks about two-factor authentication. And we also have there our video and our poster. The Federal Trade Commission is also listed on your purple sheet, and the Better Business Bureau, Scam Alert. Both of those URLs are there for you to sign up. They will send you information about what are the latest threats. What are the emails that people are sending you that may look like something suspicious that you weren't expecting? I got an email the other day that said, you need to appear in court. And it was from a law firm. It had a logo, looked very official. Click here, and just the word here, to learn more about your appearance at court. And if you don't appear, there will be a warrant for your arrest. And because I work in this field, I was suspicious right away. Plus, I know I haven't really broken any laws that I don't think anyone's caught lately. But some people may say, oh no, an authority needs me to appear in court, and they take that very seriously. The FBI scams are something that I know the Federal Trade Commission and the Better Business Bureau have sent out information about. If the FBI needs to contact you, they won't send an email, okay? So just so that you know that information.